Morning, everybody. Regarding ordinations, we already learned about different issues like the LGBT and then the woman. Should we ordain the woman or not? And now I'm going to talk about divorce issues. Our present time today, when we look at the churches, we see that there are so many pastor who has been divorced, and can it be like acceptable? And the key question is, can a divorced man be an elder or pastor or deacon of the church? Or can the church ordain a man who is already divorced to be their pastor or deacon or not? And different churches and different denominations have our own answer. It can be yes, no, or maybe. The debate is based on one phrase that we find in 1 Timothy chapter 3 verse 2 and in Titus chapter 1 verse 6. And in Greek language it is mias, gunaikos, andra. And when we translate it into English, it means man of one woman. And here I'm going to present to you three positions regarding this. And the first, let us talk about the first position. In the first one, there seems to be an universal agreement that the phrase man of one woman forbids the practice of polygamy. A polygamist is not qualified to be a pastor, elder, or deacon. And a polygamist here is like a man, is talking about a man who is married to more than one woman. And according to this view, they are not qualified to be ordained, to be the leader of the church. Talk about the second position. Here, some interpret the phrase to mean that a man who has been divorced is disqualified from serving as a pastor, elder, or deacon. This was the dominant interpretation in the 19th through the mid-20th century. To this interpretation, if a man has a living wife from a previous marriage, he has failed to exercise consistent covenant love and family oversight. He has failed to manage his family well, like with what we see in 1 Timothy chapter 3 verse 4. Many who embrace this view would find it difficult to accept the leadership of a man who in their minds is disqualified to serve in an ordained role. Those who hold to this interpretation point to God's high standard for leadership. For them, leaders must be above reproach. Let's talk about the third position. And here, for those who hold this position, they say that the text affirms the essential character of a man, that he is a one-woman kind of man. In this interpretation, what is important is not a man's past relationships, but his current track record of covenant love. This interpretation is popular in our modern culture. We like we enjoy like freedom, liberty more, and it's really popular in our 20th and 21st century. Those who hold this view consider the circumstances of divorce, the timing of divorce before or after salvation, and the track record of covenant love since once divorced and remarriage when evaluating a man's suitability for ordained leadership, like what we see in 2 Corinthians chapter 5 verse 17. To embrace this view also point to Jesus' teaching in Matthew chapter 19 and Paul's teaching in 1 Corinthians chapter 7 about divorce as foundation to their understanding of divorce and remarriage. And as we see in Matthew chapter 19, it talk about like the exception of divorce case, and it said that one can divorce just for only one reason, is for marital unfaithfulness of his or her spouse. And in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, it's also talk about another exception for divorce case. It said here that one just can divorce if his or her unbeliever spouse decide to leave the person. Set aside of that two reasons, no one should divorce his or her spouse. So I already present to you the three positions regarding these issues, and here's my conclusion. Different churches, denominations, or individuals may have our own view regarding this issue, and we do have the right to choose which one to follow. It depends on our theological understanding. But maybe for me, let's say that I am more like conservative, or at least for the denomination that I'm under here. In Vietnam, we are quite conservative about this issue. So for me, personally, I think church leaders are highly visible in the church and the community as role models of godliness and holiness. And I would like to say that, like Michael F. Rose, that pastors who are biblically divorced may well be free to remarry. To do so is not sin. Nevertheless, divorced pastors would do well to remove themselves from pastoral ministry and should consider transitioning into other phases of Christian ministry. And I believe that God still can use like divorced person to serve Him in different like ministries, but not in the ordained role. The integrity of marriage, confidence in the pulpit, and trust in the pastors of our churches may all outweigh a man's right to continue in office. His right may well need to give way to the greater responsibility to place nothing before his flock that would be either a stumbling block or a discouragement to their growth in grace and holiness. Thank you for listening and have a wonderful day.